If you're a therapist in private practice, you have more than likely had a situation where a client has texted you or called you and told you that they can't make it to their session just a few hours later, or they've no-showed altogether, and you all of a sudden find yourself in a situation where you need to charge a no-show fee. But if you're anything like me, maybe your anxiety spikes up, you don't know what to say, and you feel lost. If that is you, this video is going to walk you through step by step how I handle this in my private practice and give you some concrete scripts. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kelley Stevens. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I teach therapists how to have successful private practices, and I have a scripts book that lays out every single private practice script that I've used over the last decade to help my practice run smoothly. You can check out that link below. But let's talk about what to do when a client late cancels. So many of us as therapists have received text messages really similar to these that say something like, I'm not going to be able to make it to my session today, or I know my session's only in 15 minutes, but I can't make it. What do I do? That kind of thing. And immediately we can feel like, what do I do? What do I say? Here's what you're gonna do. First, I want you to take a second to pause. And I want you to think back on your intake paperwork. The very first thing you need to do before you ever set a boundary with a client is make sure that you have a late cancellation policy in your paperwork. The next thing that I need you to do is think about how you want to handle late cancellations. I personally use a method where I give all of my clients one free pass. The reason I do this is because number one, I'm a mom, I have 2 young kids, and every once in a while I need a free pass. And because every once in a while I might have to cancel a client's session or my real life comes in the way, I like to give clients kind of the same courtesy I need for myself. Now, every therapist is going to be different. I know plenty of therapists who say, I am packed, I have a waiting list, I'm not able to offer kind of one free pass, and that is okay. The key to any successful late cancellation policy is doing what works for your practice. However, if a client sends me this text that says, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it today, here's how I would typically respond. I'll say something like, hey, fill in the client's name. Thank you so much for reaching out about this. So sorry to hear you're not going to be able to come in today. As you know, I have a late cancellation policy. However, I do give every one of my clients one free pass because life happens, so I won't charge you for today. However, if you are late canceling again, I will have to charge you. Typically, 9 times out of 10, I will get a response from the client that says, thank you so much, something like that. Then I let it go. The biggest step that I take is I make sure to note in the client's file when this late cancellation happened. I don't tell the client that I'm noting it necessarily, but I just make sure it's in my notes so that I remember. The next time the client has a late cancellation and says, oh my God, Kelley, I totally forgot that I had therapy today. I'm not going to be able to come. Then I'll say something like, hey, thank you so much for letting me know. Sorry you're not going to be able to come in today. Unfortunately, although I give every one of my clients a free pass on late cancellations, you already used yours on, and then I'll fill in the date, so I am going to have to charge you for today. I personally keep my clients' credit cards on file. I use SimplePractice. There's a link for 2 months free below. And because I have my clients' cards on file, I just go ahead and charge them. Most of the time, because I have given that client a free pass already, 9 times out of 10, they say, totally get it, completely understand. Every once in a while, people will be frustrated or angry. Usually I just let them have that frustration and I'll validate it and I'll say, you know, I really understand why this is frustrating. You're allowed to be frustrated with me. Unfortunately, this is my policy and it's in my paperwork. If a client continuously late cancels, and to be honest with you, even if a client repetitively cancels, but they're in the cancellation window, I will revisit it as a clinical issue in session and say to the client, hey, I noticed that you are canceling a lot of sessions. Is everything okay? Should we schedule it at a different time? And if a client has a standing weekly appointment, I might say, hey, would it be better for you if we schedule on an as-needed basis? And that way each week you can really pick a time that works for you. As I said, most of the time clients handle this well. And if they don't, that might be a place where you want to talk about the goodness of fit between you and the client and whether they're getting out of therapy what they really need. The second second situation that you need to make sure that you have a policy for is when a client no-shows completely. Now, the way I handle this is almost exactly the same as I handle late cancellations, with one exception. When a client looks like they're gonna no-show, so maybe I've been sitting in my office for 10 minutes and they're not there, I'll wait till the 20-minute mark and I'll say to the client, hey, I'm sitting in my office and I noticed that you're not here. It's looking like maybe you forgot you had therapy today, or maybe we had a miscommunication. Either way, I'm not gonna charge you for today, but I'm gonna go ahead and leave the office so I won't be here if you arrive. If I wait till the 20-minute mark, I'm pretty much assuming that the client forgot. And sometimes I'll get a text message from people saying like, oh, I can hop onto Zoom right now if it's a telehealth session, or, oh, I'm driving over right now. And I'll say to them, hey, I really don't start sessions more than 20 minutes late. Think it's best if we reschedule. I'm not gonna charge you for this first one, but let's schedule a time that feels really good and convenient to both of us. Let me know when you're available. The reason I do it this way, and that I don't just jump into a session, is I like to kind of set that precedent early on with clients that therapy is important and it's not something you just rush into. It's not something like, oh, I can just sign in and think of something to say. I find that when I give that free pass the first time and when I hold the boundary with the free pass, that I don't just jump into sessions, it prevents them from being late in the future, and it preserves a lot of our therapeutic relationship because it keeps that level of importance of coming and showing up for themselves. These are the scripts and the steps that I use every time when it comes to late cancellations and no-shows. I'm going to be posting a lot more scripts on this channel. If you have private practice scripts that you want, please comment them below, like and subscribe to this video. You can check out my scripts link below, and I'll see you next time.